This is 2G FM Radio 97.9 Did You Know program. I will present to you the story of the book of Habakkuk. The book of Habakkuk is in the Old Testament and is listed the 35th book and categorized as a minor prophet. It contains 3 short chapters and 56 verses. I am Mao Kalau. Did you know that the prophet is not identified in the book? Nothing more is known of Habakkuk than what is revealed in his book. For example, Amos gave his identity in Amos chapter 7 verse 14, saying, I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was an herdsman and a gatherer of sycamore fruits. Habakkuk does not give any identity of that sort. Habakkuk was called by God from some other occupation, or whether he was especially trained for his calling in the school of the prophets is not recorded. This is certainly true of Habakkuk, who tells virtually nothing about his background. He simply announces that he is a prophet. Did you know that Habakkuk was also discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls? The 8th of the so-called minor prophets, written by the prophet whose name is its title, no serious challenge has been raised as to the dependability of the book or its right to the place in the sacred canons. However, an ancient Hebrew commentary on the book of Habakkuk was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947 that contains the Hebrew text of the first and second chapters of the book, with many gaps divided into short passages with each accompanying comments. The Habakkuk commentary discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls help us understand this interesting book better. It gives the following meaning to the last part of the 17th verse. He shall therefore draw his sword continually to slay nations without showing mercy. This prophetic statement depicts the Babylonians and the Assyrians before them, who were in this respect at least a cruel and merciless people whom God used to bring about his will to the people of Judah. Did you know that Habakkuk's authorship is even doubted? Even though the traditional setting of the book and its literary integrity can be defended with some degree of certainty, the identity of the prophet of Habakkuk remains a mystery. Some have sought his identity by comparing the literary structure of the book with other books, thus relating his name to the Assyrian plant called Habakkuk. Also, by noting certain literary data in chapter 2, verse 2, conclude Habakkuk did his education in Nineveh. Another study shows the relationship of the root word Habak, which means embrace, also has occasioned the suggestion that Elijah, who promised the Shunammite woman, saying, about this time next year you will embrace a son, and that prophecy fulfilled in the child Habakkuk, who was given to the Shunammite woman as a promised child. But how can this be, should you be asking? There's nothing written about him in the story of Elijah. An early Jewish tradition speculated that Habakkuk was the son of the Shunammite woman who lived in the days of Elijah and King Joram in the 852 to 841 BC. That is supported in 2 Kings 4 verse 16. And did you know that the main theme of the book revolves around his questions of justice? The prophet had a question. It wasn't a new or unusual question, but the more he thought about it, the more it bothered him. Job also asked the same questions about 1,000 years before, and David also asked the same questions. And of course, we ask those same questions frequently. One of the main questions Habakkuk was asking was, how come the bad people are always getting along so good and the good people are having problems? Habakkuk asked God as to why he allows the wicked apparently to prosper when the righteous do not always seem to. This is the kind of question that could either be a question of faith or of doubts. Those whose chief interest is in amusements and pleasure do not seem to have the problems encountered by those who have committed their lives to God. This is the question, the honest question that Habakkuk dared to ask God. Why is it that the wicked are prospering Did you know that Habakkuk also provides the answer to the questions he was asking? The book of Habakkuk provides a solution to the problem of why God permits sinners to flourish, comparable to the solutions provided by the book of Job to the problem of why God permits saints to suffer. Habakkuk sincerely loved the Lord and earnestly longed for the triumph of righteousness, but he could not understand why God seemingly permitted the apostasy and crime of Judah to go unchecked and unpunished. God informs him that he has a plan for checking and punishing Judah for its evil ways, and that the Chaldeans are to be the instrument by which he will accomplish these plans. What God said in Habakkuk constitutes a great truth that we ought to fasten our minds and cling to. He says, "Don't worry about sin and sinners in the apparent prosperity. Evil itself is its own destruction. That those who are evil may seem to prosper, but they actually will not prosper. They will destroy themselves by their own wickedness." Habakkuk is well summed up in this little verse based on verses 17 and 18 of chapter 3. It says, "For though the fig tree doesn't flourish, nor fruit be in the vines, the labor in the olive fails, and the fields yield no food, the flocks are cut off from the folds, and there is no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in Yahweh. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation." I hope you have enjoyed our conversation about the book of Habakkuk. Join us again next time on 2GFM. God bless you.